Hello, welcome to Friday the 13th. Spooky chill stream. Here we go. And it's spooky because it's Inktober. And we're nearing the halfway point. Inktober is sort of a celebration of drawing and painting in inks that runs for the entire month of October every year. So this is my first time doing it, and I'm enjoying it no end. There's a different prompt every day, and I've been following the prompts. So what I'm going to do today is do the day 13 prompt, start drawing that, and listen to a bit of music and hope that nothing goes wrong. Because sometimes when I play music, I get bumped out of the live stream. You get a black screen. It's very spooky for a second before I manage to get back into the stream. So if I start playing music and the stream goes black screened, don't panic. Stay calm, and I should be back within seconds. But I just fancy a little bit of music with drawing today because it can be very tiring, I've discovered in October. And I thought to myself, why is it so tiring? And then I realized the way I'm doing it, I'm doing kind of a complete work every day. Some people have approached it that they do a sketch every day, but um, I wanted, I have a sketchbook going, my Inktober sketchbook, and I wanted every page in the sketchbook to be a completed piece as well as the whole thing making sense altogether. And I didn't do a whole load of preparation for this. And some of you might be in the same boat that you didn't do loads of preparation, you're just giving it a go. And probably some of you are feeling tired by today, but hey, it's Friday, even if it is the 13th. So we deserve to chill a little bit, don't we? So, kick back, listen to some music. And this is where we're at so far. We did back on day one, we did Dream, then we did Spiders on the second day, that was the 2nd of October, which seems like a lifetime ago now. But then the prompts as you went on, and I don't think it had kicked in at this stage with me, they started forming a narrative. I didn't, as I say, prepare for Inktober first. So I didn't even look at all the prompts all together before I started the first day. So by the third day, Path, I was still not seeing it as a whole narrative. Dodge, I did that as kind of emotionally dodging something that was on day four. Then day five, I think, was the breakthrough day for me because day five was map. And I thought, yeah, this is like a narrative now because we had path, now we have map. So it seems like an adventure, right? And I have an adventure with somebody going into a forest. And I think a lot of people did do this because spooky forests and for I think for Americans they celebrate Halloween the whole month. For us in Ireland it's really only one night. It's Eid, the night before. So Halloween is one night for us, but the prompts are all very spooky. So we got into there's the prompt written in tiny letters here, golden, and we were on day 6 there, and I had a knight. It turned up in the forest, so definitely there's a narrative starting to go. There's also a figure turned up, trying to lead him into these weird tunnels that look like Gothic sort of cathedrals. And she's got a crown on. So, there's a narrative there with darkness, the light of the sun, the night being a bit corrupt. That's a chalice that he has there that he may have stolen because he has his sword with blood on it and he's got money spilling out of the chalice. So we've got a good narrative going now. So, obviously I've decided to treat it as one unified story. So as the month goes on, this might lead to more difficulties, but we're only at the halfway point, so we'll see how I get along. So there's the night in the forest a bit stalled because the prompt for that day, day 7, was drip. And I have it that it's raining. He's very downcast and having bad dreams and everything. And that sort of tunnel with the weird hand and the keyhole, it seems to be looming. So also on the right hand side of the picture, um, his horse is being ridden by somebody else. So who is that somebody else? We shall find out in our story. So you can see I'm having great fun. And of course, I'm getting a chance to use all my drawing materials and everything, which I will show you because we're going to be utilizing some of those. Um, there are elements turning up, like collage elements that turned up earlier that I used in the this path one, and that there's actually a map in there that folds out that has a few collaged elements on it. I won't unfold the map again, but you can go to my shorts if you want to see that for day 5, was it map? Yeah, day 5. It's just so difficult. That's a puzzle, a Victorian puzzle map, the way it folds up. So it's very difficult to unfold and fold again. So we were all the way up to day 8 now, and these little sort of jester frogs turned up, and they were determined to lead the knight down this wrong path. You see, so he's a bit shocked to see them, but this is what they love to do, and they're having a really fun time. So I've added humorous elements into it because stories should be fun, I think. Um, Especially scary stories. I love scary stories. So you might be able to see in this that I'm trying to utilize different drawing skills throughout um, my journey. I'm taking a journey as well. And I've kind of interpreted the prompts and the story that arose from them. I'm interpreting a little bit as the hero's journey. So, it's the hero's journey is like a journey of adventure that you take, and their adventure is through this forest. They have to have an end in sight, although they don't necessarily know what their purpose is. And somebody going through the story isn't really aware at the beginning of what the character's purpose is, just as I wasn't. But this one, Bounce, you can see that the princess, it's the princess that has the horse, and the princess is getting bounced off her horse by this little rabbit that's run across the road, and there's even the little jester frog turning up again. So there are all these kind of little impish characters in the forest trying to kind of interfere with the journey a little bit. So she's on a hero's journey just the way the knight is, and we associate knights with the hero's journey, but the princess has a little journey because you think of princesses, you think of castles and them sitting around making tapestries and things. But this is quite an adventurous princess. And I have utilized the different thicknesses of ink here. Don't have any collage elements in this. This is just all inks and a little bit of some pens that I got that I love, except the white one. I'm not crazy about the white one. Edding pens. I've used a gold on the rabbit, and the gold and silver are lovely. The white isn't great for coverage, I have to say, of inks. I have another brand of pen, which is Uni, I think is the brand. I've lost the cover of it. That's had much better coverage, but that was Bounce. So then the next day, the prompt was Fortune. So because I had a prince, you have to have um, the princess. Princesses are always good in stories, aren't they? It's a bit weird having a bad princess, but you can definitely have an evil queen, can't you? So I really enjoyed putting in an evil queen. And the evil queen, this was Fortune, right? So the evil queen loves riches, you see. She's a bit like the knight, like that. She loves riches and she loves bedecking herself in riches. And I've run amok with sticking on little bits of, they're actually nail jewelry. on this and bits of glitter. So, and I just stuck those onto the paper with some ordinary kind of school glue type of stuff. And I've got my silver, my gold out and everything, because everything is supposed to be glittery in this one. And I had fun trying to do the mirror as well. So that's all done with kind of layers of ink. Um, I'm starting to use, I don't think I'd used it extensively before. I'm starting to use one of my favorite inks now, and that is Aurora Borealis, which is a diamine ink. Diamine is the brand. And I absolutely love that ink. I'm addicted to that color and mixing that color with other colors because you can get really subtle ink colors mixing them with other colors. Now we don't have far to go before we start working on today's one because we're up to day 11 on this one. And the prompt was wander. So you can see how all the prompts they were kind of urging you to think of a story a bit because they are kind of thematic, I think. And this one, I just had a picture of the sky, but when it turns over, it's another beautiful sky and there's a map inside that. And again, that's sealed with sealing wax, so you would have to see the short video for day 11 to be able to see that one properly, because that's sealed to keep it safe from the evil queen and her spies in the forest. But the material I'm using for this one, and this is a beautiful material to use if you ever get a chance to do. This is um, this is rice paper for painting Japanese and Chinese style um, paintings with ink and watercolor. So I've used ink on it here, and I've used Indian ink, and that's the traditional way of doing sumi style painting. And this is one of the cheaper brands of ink here, India Ink Moon brand, which is a bit smellier than the brand which has the most beautiful bottle ever. And I know you like this because a lot of people I've noticed who are doing Inktober, and I'm making sure to go around and look for everybody's work. And if you're doing Inktober, do go and look at everybody else's work because it's about sharing your enthusiasm as well. This speedball ink has the most beautiful packaging ever, and I keep the bottle because it's very nice for dipping inks. But the Moon India ink is a little bit smelly, but cheaper, and seems to be okay quality. And there's my Diamine Aurora Borealis, bluey green. Isn't it beautiful? Such a beautiful color. I love it. So that does convey wonder. I was kind of happy with that one. There's a very colorful map in there, and I discovered a few new tricks which I got to use on the map that involve the other new thing that I got. And these are all tips that I'm giving you if you're doing Inktober for materials and things, some of which you might know about, some not. And I got this tip from a lady who's doing Inktober, Milton Shand, and she was using it on her channel and very kindly wrote in what she was using. And this is the most beautiful set. I have it slightly mucky looking from using inks with it, but this is, I incorrectly said it was an acrylics thing when I got it. It's not, it's actually watercolor, all different shades of metallics. And they're the most beautiful metallics. And I discovered this trick of using them on rice paper with Black India ink, and they pool. The gold, I was using the gold at the time, pools so beautifully on it. Again, I'm not going to open this up to show you, but I was oohing and on about that when I saw it. So I'm learning new things, and that is some of the point of Inktober, to learn, to improve your skills, and of course to have a great time, even on Friday the 13th, when anything could happen, any accidents or anything could happen. We're still in a good mood, we're still chill, and it's going to be fun. So here's where we're up to. Here was yesterday's one, day 12, and it was spicy, which I found a difficult one because to fit in with my storyline was a bit of a stretch. Um, and I think a lot of people found that a difficult prompt because even people who weren't doing a story that the narrative all hooked up together, spicy uh, only has a few connotations for people. So your associations that you have with that word lead you to think of chili peppers or um, uh, attractive women who are provocative and spicy, things like that. They came up a lot in them. But if you were trying to tie it into a narrative or something a bit trickier, so I had to, and this was a bit of a stretch because I had to imagine the knight making a dinner. And I couldn't get him foraging anything really spicy. So I had to have him having a spicy experience, which was he cooked up this pot of mushrooms that he found, but unfortunately they were agaric mushrooms, which are poisonous, but also hallucinogenic before they poison you. And he thought they were ordinary edible mushrooms, and he ate one, you see, or a few actually, because he made a stew with them. And he went on a bit of a trip because this character turned up out of the door, which opened suddenly. Yeah, I think the frogs must have had the key. And this character came out. So I had great fun making that. And as you can see, I've run amok, putting in rice paper, cutting out um, sheets of watercolor paper that I've done my thing on. And some of that was the limitations of the sketchbook because back on page 1, you can see it's a cheap sketchbook and there was a lot of bleed going on it. So that limited me to the type of work I could do. And the bleed goes through to the next page and everything. And I was initially going to work with that. And then I thought, no, because all the work will turn out looking the same. So I'm happy enough um, cutting out different types of paper and everything and putting them in if I want. But I'm also enjoying the doing some cutouts as well. So I am testing out what I can do. And it took me quite a bit of working out yesterday to figure out how to do those little cutouts and get them to move and everything. And they turned out pretty fun, I think. And that effect there was done with a straw, getting the plonking the ink down on the paper of quite a wet consistency of ink, and then blowing a straw very close to the paper to get that spiky thing because I wanted a kind of a dragon effect with loads of spikes and everything coming out of him to make him really scary, and he's just appearing rar out of the tunnel there. So we're having a great time. So now we've got a blank page. It's Friday the 13th, and we have to figure out what to do today. So, um, what I have been doing is my approach has been the night before, I'm drawing things so that I don't go to bed all kind of worried. Got a lot of work to do tomorrow. How will I manage? And the prompt was rise. So things just spontaneously occur to me from the prompt because I'm following a little storyline that might help a little bit. And here are some of the drawings that I did. You see, here I was working out some of the earlier, there's the night in the forest. So they start out with rough drawings. But the drawing that I did for the rise was I had this idea of, okay, up in the air and the princess and the idea of rising up to some sort of feeling of freedom. And the princess, could be trying to escape from the castle and the evil queen who has it in for her. Because as you could see from the earlier picture, the evil queen looking at the image, this could imply that the queen either sees herself like this in the mirror or she's looking at somebody. So now it's emerging that that's actually the princess because we're seeing the princess better today. So it's that she's kind of competitive with the princess, and that the castle doesn't really suit her. So this might be why she's off in the forest, you know. So she's off in the forest, and now I want her to be experiencing this feeling of freedom. The forest is a path, has a series of paths in it. She has a map. So clearly, when you get a map, there's usually a treasure involved in these kind of stories, isn't there? So there's a treasure somewhere in that forest. The princess has the map. Perhaps the map was in the castle somewhere, in the archives or something. I don't know. I don't know where she got it. But today she has decided to climb a tree, um, and from the top of the treetop, we're going to have her able to see the castle and birds flying around. And she's going to be experiencing this wonderful feeling of freedom. So they were the rough sketches. Then I had to get them to the scale of my uh, notebook. So my notebook is very small, so it has to come down quite a bit. So this morning before the live stream, I started sketching her smaller. So I have her to the right scale. So I just have to get her onto the page, and I'm not putting her directly onto the page because, again, I'm going to sort of water down my inks and do things. And there's going to be a lot of bleed. So instead, I have a watercolor sheet to do it on. I have a lovely, see, the materials you use can matter. Good quality of materials. All this hassle I'm going through with the watercolor pad is because it was a real cheap one. It was a Tiger sketch pad, which was only about €3 or €4, which is pretty cheap. But it was a bit of a false economy, but it does have a very nice cover on it. And these can be stuck in with double-sided tape, which I'm running very low on and have to stock up on now. But I can work on the watercolor sheets and then stick in. So I have, or should have, two watercolor sheets. I don't know where I put the other one, and I need to find it because I want to work on them both today. Perhaps it's sandwiched in here somewhere. Did I leave it when I was cutting it? No, I didn't. I might have to cut another one if I don't find it. But it's this really thick paper, so it's not going to buckle or anything, so it should look okay. So what I'm going to do is transfer this onto this. And the reason I have a second sheet of watercolor paper is I'm going to lay one sheet on top of the other, and I'm going to use cutout elements again. So this princess in the tree, once I have her all drawn and inked up and everything, and colored, because I'm going to have quite a lot of color for this central section of the story, because tomorrow is Castle, and I want Castle to be very, very grey. So these ones are going to be very colorful. We've had blue the last few pages for nighttime. Now we're going to have green, a beautiful green looking down on the forest, and then very strong blacks for branches of the tree. But this is going to be cut out, and all the branches cut out and laid down on top of another sheet of watercolor paper. Aha, there's the sheet of second sheet of watercolor paper, I think. Is it? Yeah. So I have two sheets. So that sheet with the princess on it, cut out and laid down on the other sheet, which will have the wood and the castle in the background, because we're introducing the idea of the castle. So uh, on that note, I'm going to start doing the drawing of the princess, and I'll mark this with chapters afterwards for anyone who doesn't want to sit through a whole hour. I'll put it in the description under the video so that if you just want to see the drawing bit, you can see that. You can skip straight to that and hear a bit of music and everything. But I did want to get you up to where I am so far with it. And what I'm actually thinking of doing, because some of my viewers, I have a lot of new viewers actually from Inktober, which is lovely. And thank you very much for subbing. And a lot of those people might be big fans of watching shorts, particularly in October when you're very busy and you don't want to see long things all the time, although you might enjoy this chill stream. Uh, but for the other people, a lot of the other people don't watch shorts. They might only watch the long videos. We all have different tastes. So for them, I might do, when we get to halfway, I might do an upload video of the story so far up to halfway. I think that'd be nice to see all, and it'll be all the shorts put together with the narration over it, maybe, to tell the story, if I can manage that. It's quite hard to manage everything during Inktober because I have another little thing I'm doing as well. Somebody asked me about it. I'm doing another little book, a kid's book, and I'm on this section where it's a cutout house, which is towards the end of the book. So I'm trying to finish that book this month as well. So it's a lot of fun, but a lot of work. So now I'm looking for a pen because I want to transfer this. And I think actually this paper is a very thin paper. So I might be able to transfer it without using a sheet of tracing paper first. We'll see how it goes. I have this carbon paper, and this is a handy trick for transferring drawings. I think this will work. I'll just put a little peg in the corner and we hope it works. The minute I put something down, I feel terrible. I have so much stuff on the table here. And one of the things I'll be using today is felt pens, but they're watercolor felt pens. I have a little set of them because I want to do very fine work on that drawing. And that's the first time they have come into the picture at all. So let me find my pen for tracing this, and we stick on a bit of music while I'm looking for it. Now be aware that you could get a black screen because it's Friday the 13th, but hang in there, you get a black screen, and I'll be back. Let me find the pen and stick on some music while I'm doing that. But where is it? Where is the pen? I had it in my paw. I had to use a little bit of foreshortening on her. This is why I wanted to work the drawing out first. Just make sure that's coming through. Yeah, it's actually coming through very dark. Not necessarily wanted that dark. So this is a rough guide for the inking I'm going to do. It's not perfect, but some of the elements were a bit tricky for me to manage otherwise. And I did it with her ankles crossed, just to make it a little bit more interesting. Because there are a lot of images like this online, and you're trying to look at ways to make yours your own vision of something and a little bit different from everybody else's version of things, you know? So this is supposed to kind of look like a woman on a swing, because there are a lot of kind of images of those of women on swings, and they're kind of annoying. They annoy me. But if I have a beautiful enough image in the background, I think it'll make it less annoying for me, you see. So it's in the detail how you do it and how it appeals to you personally. What would annoy me, somebody else would find nice. See, I enjoyed those kind of details. We have it coming out. Yeah. Now, the only thing about this, that piece of music is just going to play on loop. I don't stop it anymore. I don't want it on loop. Is there a way to not loop things? There is, but where? There's some little checkbox for, no. Oh, loop was off. That's just a really long track. Um, the only thing with this carbon paper, which people used to use for typing, but is terribly handy for this kind of thing, is it doesn't really rub out great, but it does a little bit. Look, it does a little bit. And a lot of people like to rub out their drawings a little bit when they're finished. So you have to be a little bit careful that you're not pressing too hard on this stuff. But it takes some of the angst, I think, out of the drawing. And then you can just settle back and you know you have most of the drawing in the right place then afterwards. Okay, now I'm going to put in all the tree and the leaves, and then through all those we will see a beautiful green of the background. So the idea is that she is going to be in, well, she's in white because princesses, for for reasons, are always pictured in whites. Um, but the tree is going to have very dark, so the boughs and branches of the tree is going to be really, really dark. So that's going to be a beautiful contrast, hopefully, against the green. And I have beautiful green calligrapher's ink green, which is a very vibrant green, which will be some of the green. I'll vary the green, and I'll actually go off in a few minutes now once I have this drawing get put down, and put down the ink for the background page that's going to show through once that's cut out, because the background page needs time to dry, and I like to get my short videos. I'm going to make a short video on this and upload the short, and that short video I'd like to have it up kind of by 5 o'clock ish, because I have, you get really tired later in the day, don't you? And in October, you have to save your energy for the next day as well. And tomorrow's going to be really exciting because it's Castle. It's Castle Day tomorrow, folks. So I'll have to save some energy for that. So it's all about pacing yourself with this. That's kind of what I really like that about it, actually. And have some of her hair going over that. So that'll leave time for the other page to dry, and then I can come back and draw this. So I do actually have a plan. So let's have more music. I'm not putting in too much detail on this because this is just the outline sketch. You can go nuts on the detail in the main on the main sketch once it's transferred. Yeah. I do want the tree to have a nice rhythm to it though. Like the music. I don't want to cover up too much of that background, you see, because I want to have the background interesting as well. But most of the busyness is going to be in the foreground. And in here, this is all I consider this negative space in this top sheet. So that the shapes inside there, I want to have quite interesting as well. And I want to get a little bit of sort of slight idea of it going back into space to bring it into the distance, because the castle is going to show up somewhere around here in the background, maybe there, you know. Not in this front sheet, but it's sort of these are going to kind of point you towards the castle, because she's going to find herself drawn to the castle for some reason. Not yet, I haven't figured out how or why that's going to happen, but that's what's nice. The story hasn't really developed fully for me, so it keeps me engaged with this. I'm not going to get bored of Inktober halfway through if I don't know what's going to happen with the story either, you see. That's my thinking. I mean, might, I don't know, but I hope not. So this is the branch she's sitting on. So this is sort of like the bottom of that kind of swing there. And then there's going to be also a very dark branch there, so that the tree shape makes sense as a cradle for her to sit on. We're going to extend the shape out there. I'll make the leaves smaller as they go towards the distance. And I have, you know, a kind of a little craft knife, this thing to cut out things when I'm finished. So I hope Inktober's gone very well for everybody else and that you're all enjoying it. I am so enjoying looking at your work. And it was lovely that some people came over here as well and said, hey, I looked at your work too. That's really nice to know that people are looking at each other's work. Yeah. We don't have enough leaves going here in this one. Hang on. There, because I want enough space for this. Now, we'll put in a few lower branches as well. Just a few. They might be a bit thin to cut out, but I can draw them in on top of the lower sheet afterwards if necessary. You see, I wanted to show she's on the top of the tree. And of course the branches are going to radiate out, aren't they? And I don't mind having dark shapes there, because her feet are going to be quite light. Okay, I think I'm there. Where do I just check I have it on? Okay, so I have my top sheet in. So let's do the bottom sheet. And I'm going to get out my handy little thing for this and the brush. So, where's my brush? This one. I had a thicker brush today earlier. It was really nice. Hang on. Well, maybe I didn't put it back. Aha! This is just a cheap brush, but they're very good. They're school. They're brushes that schools buy a lot, but they're very good for inks. I like them a lot. So if we're filling in fairly big-ish areas, they're nice. And I like rounds. Rounds are a very adaptable shape. So I'm going to pick up some ink with that. I'm going to put this aside because I don't want to get the ink all over it. But I do want another sheet of paper. And again, I want to do a little bit of drawing, but it's going to be kind of suggesting things. Or if I just put this alongside it for positioning. I want to have a castle up here, you see, so it's going to be around here. And that will cross. Or else it just gets lost. And I did have to look up castles online, so I found the right sort of turret style. And I did have turrets in an earlier picture. I can find them. Just for consistency. Where did I don't know where I put my turrets. Did I? Thought I had turrets. You see, your imagination has filled in bits. No, I don't see the turrets. I thought I had turrets in that one somewhere. Maybe I did. Oh yeah, I did there somewhere, but they're not visible anymore. They were in there. They're not really visible enough. That's the other thing. You don't get quite as much time to work on something as you want, and that can be an advantage in a way and a disadvantage in another way, because you don't get too bogged down in things. Don't get time to get bogged down. I want the castle really far away because I don't want to imply the wood is right beside the castle. I want it to be like 10 miles away. Town castle. This is kind of the shape. And then we want a little bit of bluey landscape behind. And I'm basing my idea of the landscape on, this is going to sound funny, but on this page, this is a page that had bleed through from another page. And I just liked this kind of cloudiness of it. So I want to work with that kind of cloudiness for landscape elements in the background and have it going very blue and fadey, and then coming into the forest. And we can have a little bit of path, maybe some hills around, because the path is still part of the story, isn't it? And our map showed paths into the forest. Okay. I'm only suggesting this a little bit. But I want to have the trees like cloudy shapes. So I'm going to have a few shades of green, the lightest in the middle, darkest on the edges. But it's going to be fairly pale with a nice contrast. And I'm going to bring it up here because I want green under. I'm going to do this very pink and have a nice green contrast. So let's try out some greens, and I like having a test page beside it for things, so that I can really enjoy doing the colors. Now, there's a couple of things I could do here. I could water the page first, you see, and over here, if I can do this without messing everything up, over here I have all sorts of things of water as well as all my inks. And all the things are water are because inks are mess up your water much more than watercolors do, and your water wears out a lot faster. So I have various pots here for when I run out of water. Okay. More daydreaming music this time because we want to daydream as we're doing this. Because it is Friday, the 13th, and it's chill, isn't it? We're chilling. I can't believe my screen hasn't gone black yet on Friday the 13th. Maybe I'm somebody who has a good luck on Friday the 13th, while others have bad luck. I don't know. It could be something spooky like that. All right, where's my lollipop? So I have this this green, and I want a fair bit of that. I have a yellow that I like it sometimes, but not always. There's the green on its own. And this pot is now going to be the green pot because it'll mess up every other color I have. See how nice the green is? It's a very blue green. I also have a yellow, but if I want that bleed effect, the yellow isn't great to mix with it because it's got some acrylic in it. Oops. Yes, this is very me now. It's Friday the 13th kicking in. But I do this all the time anyway. That's why I try and incorporate. Oh, look. I try and incorporate them into the work because I'm forever spilling things. Ink and me. I have a tablecloth under this, and the tablecloth now has that green on it. Okay, so I'm just going to leave those there and not worry about it. That's the trick. Don't worry about things too much. I'm going to get into the zone, you see. And see the way the yellow doesn't really do the bleed thing as nicely. Now I want some of my diamond blue as well. Look at that. Oh, it just makes me so happy. And I'm going to refrain from using any glitter today or gold. Famous last words. I'm saying that at the beginning, but and I'm just making little cloudy shapes to try and imply tree shapes, but I don't want to mess it about too much. And I'm going to make a mid green. Now, when this is dry, and I'll be working on the drawing as that's drying. Tissue in my hand, because you can do things with tissues as well. Look at that, and lift back out. When it's dry, I could come in with those felt pens that I have, the Ohuhu pens, these ones, and do finer detail, because I'll show you something nice about these pens. If you've never used them before, they're dual point pens, so they have that end, which isn't kind of a super soft brush. It's felt tip, but it's not bendy like a normal brush pen type thing. It's more stiff felt tip, and it's got a thin end as well, so you can draw fine details. This is why I thought I'd draw details of a face in that pen, because I can get right in and get detail around the eyes and mouth and things that I want. So I have my nice kind of cloudy thing going on. And I'm trying to limit myself, that I'm not kind of branching out completely into going back to watercolors or anything with this, because I want to get better at working with ink. I like that blue, you see, grand. And even for the castle, I could make use of some grey as well, with details put in with the felt pen. But I'll just indicate it in blue and let it dry for a while. Then I can work back in with details. Don't want to have too much black in this back drawing, because when I come along with this one cut out and put over it, a lot of the darks are going to be in those tree shapes. Things like the castle won't really stand out as being in the distance, if you get me. And I still have to put in birds in this as well. They might have to be fairly dark shapes. And I might get some pink in here. I do happen to have a beautiful pink, which is, I have a few aquafine. They're nice. So I'm going to try to work in some pink and yellow with some blue. And maybe these aren't as easy to blend as watercolors in some ways, because they're very pigmented compared to watercolor. But if you water them down a lot, you can work up your layers, you see. That's even picked up a little bit of blue that I didn't particularly want. Deadening down the pink. You see how that needs a lot of time to actually still got green on the brush, which isn't handy. Yeah, new brush fixes the problem. This is why I have so many things in water as well, because the ink just stains so much. Okay, that's at the stage where I'm going to let it dry. Then go back to work on the other one while that's drying. There'll be more work down on this, but I'm ready to work on this one. And then when it's dry, I can get that cut out. I can continue to work on them when they're cut out. So I'm happy enough to do that. But I want to show you how the little small pens work. And I don't know, can I go any closer for you? And hopefully that will still be in focus. Yeah, it still looks in focus. So we can go up quite close and still be focused. So we work on her face. Let's have a look at what colors. You see why I have these little test sheets here? Because they're handy. So that's really sugary pink. It's very princess pink, but it's so sugary, isn't it? We need a few colors going on. Yeah, see, that's quite good skin color wise. And we need something different around the eyes. Let me do some. I like elephants. I wish to pull these two cats. It's all about getting the right colors, isn't it? Yeah, that might be a nice, it's a kind of grayish brown. Might be a nice color for. The only thing I don't like about that pen set, I really like it, and it was very good bargain and everything online. The only thing I don't really like is that when you take the top off, you can't stick the top on top of the other top, and you tend to lose the tops. Otherwise, I love it. It even comes with, I've taped it inside, but it comes with a few extra nibs for each end for like favorite colors that you might use up. Now, she's a green-eyed princess, so we're not doing her blue, but we're just going to do the whole face in this greenish brown first. Now, she actually could have a silver. We could use a little bit of silver if we wanted for her crown. Queen wears gold crown, she wears a silver one. But we won't put that in yet. And the crown definitely isn't the star of the show here. Nature is the star of the show in this, because in this one she's sort of discovering how fantastic nature is and just having an amazing time. And that's it, isn't it? You feel very free in nature. Now we're putting in some of the shading in this color, and we're doing curved shading as well, but we're gonna come back and do different colors into the shading. This is just to get it started. And the thing with these, right, is the thing I like about these is that see, that's still got green. Start a new thing of water again. These behave a bit like watercolors, so you can soften down the colors afterwards. Isn't that nice? So it loses the kind of harsh thing of ink. So if you're trying to do a drawing that's a very soft drawing with soft elements in it, as I was trying to do on that day, you can get the softness going, maybe even easier than ink. I don't know. I mean, they are really, I think they're an alcohol-based ink felt pen, so they are actually ink, but haven't quite worked out my shading properly there. That's the thing, you see, when you don't have a reference for everything. I know I want that side of her face darker and the light hitting her there. So that side of her nose, it's not going to be hugely convincing without proper reference, you know. the bits you leave unfilled in that are important as well. So I'm trying to have it like not the same style throughout, but the style having some relationship to the rest of it, because it's all in the same kind of narrative, you know. Some pink underneath. And we're actually past the time. So I have to get it from this point to finished by about 5 o'clock. So that's part of Inktober's challenge, keeping a cool head. But I mean, it's great for practice for keeping deadlines and things like that. There's always going to be times you're going to have to keep deadlines, and for letting go of something as well, because you're having to move a little bit fast on things. So it allows you to let go of something, to go on to something new and get that practice that is part of Inktober. So I hope you're all having a wonderful Inktober, and that so far, that you're not flagging, that you're still enthusiastic about whatever is happening with your images in Inktober, whatever way you're doing it. You know, if something's not working for you, you can change it halfway if you want. Don't see why not, if you wanted to. And if it is working, well, you're going to be having a fantastic time. And either way, as long as you're learning something, that's very important in Inktober, isn't it? To learn things. And your art will keep growing. Keep expressing what's on your mind through your art. Having a fantastic time. And not trying to look like anybody else's art, or just being yourself, I think, is going to produce the most successful thing for you. You can learn from other people, of course. So I'm going to leave it at that, and wish you a fantastic weekend, whatever you're doing. And look out for that short later if you're curious about how this picture turned out. I'll hopefully have it uploaded by about 5 o'clock. And see you tomorrow at the castle, because that's what the cue is for tomorrow, the prompt for tomorrow's castle. So we'll be up there tomorrow. And I'm dying to see what everybody else has done for today's one lives, because I think we're going to have people doing some really interesting things for today. And it might be like my time, it might be about 8, 9 o'clock by the time people start putting things up, because I know people only start in some parts of the world only start getting out of bed about 3. So it's the European stuff I'm getting to see earlier in the day, and then a lot of the American stuff comes up kind of 3 o'clock onwards. And there are a lot of Americans participate in this, so it tends to kind of things tend to heat up about 8 o'clock at night. I'll also look out for people on Instagram and go and search out there. Some people are starting to drop out. Anybody who's dropped out, don't feel bad about it, because we all have other things to do in our lives, and you've got to prioritize things. So still be happy that you participated, and knowing when to stop doing something is very important too. So have a fantastic weekend, everybody, and see you on the shorts trail, or if you decide to make long videos or whatever way you're sharing your work, I'll look out for you later on. Okay, or come and say hello over here if you like. Just don't stick links to particular videos, because I'll be able to find you by channel name. I think I might have links blocked. Okay, bye bye.